Hi guys. So today I want to talk to you about Brexit, and I want to give you sort of my opinion on what's been happening. I'm not an expert by any means, but I do have an opinion like everybody else, and I think I'd rather share those opinions with you than with anybody else. This is not going to be an edited podcast. It's just going to be me talking to you guys on my microphone. This is my first time making a video, a podcast, so please be nice, guys. I'm sure as time progresses, I'll have more equipment and I'll be able to do it better, but as I say, this is my first time, and if it goes well, I should be carrying on. So here we go. I'll read out some articles for you guys, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think the whole Brexit should look like. Here we go. So a news story has just come out. Boris Johnson cancels staff leave to prepare for no deal as fears of chaotic Brexit mount. I will leave a link in the description box below for you guys to read these stories for yourself, so you can make up your own mind. So this story came in roughly 41 minutes ago. Jeremy Corbyn called on Cabinet Secretary Sir Mark Sedwill, or is it Sedwill? I don't know, guys. I think it's Sedwill, to rule out that the Prime Minister cannot go ahead with a no-deal Brexit if there is a general election, saying it would be an, quote, anti-democratic abuse of power. Anthony MacDonald, who is the Shadow Cabinet Secretary, called on Sir Mark to be the, quote, voice of sanity if Boris Johnson tries to push ahead with no deal despite losing a confidence vote in the Commons. This news came as Transport Minister George Freeman suggested a no-deal exit would be an, quote, absolute disaster which would keep the Tories out of office for 2 decades. That's 20 years. I'm sure most of you already knew that. The Conservatives were accused of breaking the economy after GDP figures shows the UK economy shrank. I'll pick out some key points for you guys, and then I will give you my opinion. Okay, guys. So even some Tories recognise that a no-deal Brexit is bad because it is undemocratic to crash out before a general election, because firstly, we did not vote for Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson was chosen by Tory party members. He was not chosen by the general public. But before I discuss that further, I do want to talk about what exactly is no deal. What does no deal mean? So I'm just loading up another news article that will give a better explanation as to what a no-deal Brexit is, and then you can decide whether that's good or bad. Okay, just bear with me, guys. So this is a BBC article. I will link that in the description box below so you can read it for yourself. So what is a no-deal Brexit? A no-deal Brexit means the UK would leave the EU immediately, so no ifs, no buts, on the 31st of October 2019. And there would be no agreements in place about what the relationship between the UK and the EU would be like in the future. This includes special agreements about how the UK and EU companies could work and do trades with each other. This is not what everybody in Parliament wants, but it's a possible outcome if politicians can't agree on what should happen next, or if the EU and the UK can't agree on what the relationship should be like. So just a bit about, what to expect in a no deal Brexit. What would the UK look like? A no deal Brexit, guys, I'm reading this from the article, but again, I will link it in the description box below so you can read it for yourself. So what will happen in a no deal Brexit? A no deal Brexit could lead to a number of things happening. For example, border checks could be reintroduced. Transport and trade between the UK and EU could be severely affected. Adults may not be able to drive in EU countries without a special driving licence. It could cost more money to use your phone abroad in EU countries. It would mean no transition period, which was part of the deal that the former Prime Minister Theresa May was proposing, which was rejected by MPs. In November of last year, Mrs May refused to rule out a no-deal Brexit if Parliament voted against a deal, but Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn told ITV that nobody is going to allow no deal. I've just seen if there is anything else interesting in the article that I should read out to you. Just bear with me, guys. Okay, so guys, here's what I think about no deal. I think that no deal is going to be very bad for the UK because everything, prices are going to go up dramatically. And it's going to be you and me that's affected because, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, David Cameron, Nigel Farage, they're rich people, so they can, they can afford whatever scenario we fall into, whether we leave with a deal or without a deal. So I don't think it's fair to just listen to the politicians. Make up your own mind, guys. You decide whether if you voted for Brexit. I'm sure you had your reasons. I voted for Remain. I had my reasons. I'm not here to debate that with you. I don't want to. I don't want this to turn into a debate about who's right and who's wrong. But I don't think the politicians should be trusted. It should be up to you and I to decide. Now, what happened since Boris Johnson became Prime Minister? Well, according to the same BBC article, at the start of this month, Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government has announced an extra $2.1 billion of funding to prepare for a no-deal Brexit, which is doubling the amount of money set aside this year. There is exactly 92 days left for the UK to leave the European Union. And Sajid Javid, who is now the Chancellor, said it is vital that we intensify our planning to ensure we are ready. So Sajid Javid is kind of gearing for a no deal. He wants no deal to happen. And he said that we're putting money aside to make sure that we cope. But guys, like I said, they are rich, so they can afford whatever scenario we fall into. If prices go up, you need that bottle of milk or that bottle of orange juice, or you need that loaf of bread. You're gonna have to pay whatever the shopman charges. Think about it, guys. It's the little things. So what is the answer? I don't think the answer is a general election right now, because although I could argue that we, as I may have mentioned before, We have an unelected Prime Minister. We never chose Boris Johnson to be our Prime Minister. Only the rich Tory MPs, people in the Tory party, they chose the Prime Minister, not us. But that's a topic for another video or another podcast. For today, for this video, for this podcast, well, I think the answer is bring it back to the people, because the people are going to have to live with the consequences for generations to come. So let us decide what the future holds. Say to the public, look, this is the deal that we're putting on the table. It does include no deal. What do you want us to do? Because isn't that what politicians are supposed to do? Are they not supposed to work for us? So what do you guys think? Do you guys think we should have a general election, a people's vote, or do you not care? Do you think, you know what, let's just leave the European Union. Just leave. We don't care. We'll be okay. The economy will do well, and I'm sure in the long run we might do well. But in the short term, I do think we are going to struggle. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little podcast. Please consider subscribing. And depending on the response of this podcast, I might decide to continue this. If there were any mistakes, please forgive me. This is my first time doing this. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you.